You can hear me, right? No?
Bring the mic up.
Now can you hear me? All right, good. 3 times and we're out. Good evening and welcome. I'm Peggy Cox. I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, and tonight we're having the Menasha Mayoral Candidates Forum. WHBI will be taping this forum, and so please turn off your cell phones in case you forgot about that. So, Mr. Taylor managed to get the X, so he's going to start the proceedings, and he is going to give his opening statements. And the opening statements are for 3 minutes. The audience questions are for 2 minutes. So I would like to introduce the candidates in the order they are seated. Mr. James Taylor, Mr. Donald Merkes, and Mr. Chris Klein. The ushers are around here. If you have more questions as we go along, please raise your hand and they will be glad to bring you a sheet of paper so you can write a question. The question organizers are over here. Remember that we're not going to get to all of your questions. It's almost impossible, but we will try to do the best we can. The timekeeper will explain the timing. That's Connie right here.
Okay, as Peggy said, your opening statement is 3 minutes, and I will give you a 60-second, when there's 60 seconds left, 30 seconds, and a stop. And when the stop comes, you don't have to stop in the middle of a sentence, but just complete your sentence or your thought.
Okay. There is a ground rule for the forum, and that is any demonstration of support or opposition to the candidates or their position will be out of order. At the end of the evening, we will thank the candidates with our applause.
Can you hear me? Yep. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the League and for putting on this forum. This is my type of government right here. All the people in our city coming out to find out what Menasha is really about. I've had 30 years of team management, and 3 weeks ago we were all here for the Menasha Lock to figure out what we want to do with that area down there. We had 60 people here, and 60 talented people that were looking for changes for Menasha and new ideas and new concepts, and that's what I've been through for the last 30 years in the companies I've worked for. And I want to bring that to Menasha. I can't tell you how much I want to bring the people together, create a community spirit. There's so many talented people in our community, and with all the resources that they bring to the table, from their years of experience or from their hobbies, and I really don't see that in our community right now, and we need to bring that first and foremost back. And also I would like to see our downtown with the Downtown Action Council and a full-time advocate. We don't have that that togetherness that somebody brings by having a professional advocate downtown. And we see businesses opening and closing all the time, and that's kind of sad because these people bring a lot they bring their model to what they think is important, and we're not looking at this collectively as a group and working together for that, and that's something we have to do. I just want to say I'm a lifelong resident of Menasha. It's been my home, my family's home for over 4 generations. It's people that make Menasha such a cool place to live, and I always say I love Menasha, and I really do. My blood is blue, it's not red, it's Blue Jay blue, and I really do love my city. I'm getting close to retiring, and I want to bring all this that I've my 30 years of volunteering, my 20 years of government, and my 30 years of team management. At the very end, instead of just going and sitting in a lazy boy, I really want 4 years here to bring all that to the community. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. My name is Don Merkes, and it's been my great honor to serve as mayor of Menasha for nearly 8 years. I want to ask you something all this evening. Have you heard the great news about Menasha? I'm sure many of you have. Over the past few years, excitement about our city has been building, bringing us positive attention for people looking to build a business, buy a home, attend one of our great public events, and tonight I want to talk a little bit more about how we got here and how we want to keep that momentum going. 8 years ago, Menasha was facing a big challenge. The decision to create the steam utility was proving to be an enormous error. As a community, we did what needed to be done. We settled with our bondholders, and we planned on how to pay down our debt. Since then, I prepared 8 annual budgets for the city that protected and enhanced our services. And I lost my place. Focused on paying down our debt and stabilizing our tax rates. But that's not all. In 2008, I asked people from across the city what they wanted to see in Menasha. Here's what you told me over and over again. You want to see us reduce our debt, bring a downtown grocery store back to our community, get things moving out in Lake Park Villas, revitalize our downtown business district, and enhance public safety and improve the image of our community. I promised to do my best, and I believe I delivered on that promise. We've reduced our debt by 23% from its high point, and we have a plan that will continually produce a steady decline in our debt. Despite cuts to state aids, city staff has stepped up to do more with less every day, and we're able to provide you with the services you expect with a very lean staff because they are dependable, professional, and dedicated to the services of our city. We facilitated the renovation and reopening of our downtown grocery store, and we have a land swap that will bring us a new credit union in the Lake Park neighborhood. And speaking of Lake Park, our development deal in 2011 created a vibrant new neighborhood and sparked businesses and housing activity in the entire area. The old hotel is gone, and in its place is a new office tower that will host the headquarters of Faith Technologies and over 300 employees. Pretty much every building on the east end of Main Street is either occupied or undergoing renovations for a new tenant. Our police department is fully staffed for the first time in a long while, and we have a new East Side Fire Station paid for by federal grants. Last year, the council unanimously approved a new branding statement for Menasha, which expresses our vision of who we are and who we want to be. Menasha wants to be your place on the water. We are rolling out a new website, and we have a wonderful video that we're using in various ways to tell people more about our beautiful city. Over the past 2 years, we have seen loads of positive coverage in the local papers, on the news, and in regional magazines, causing more and more people to say, hey, have you heard the great things that are happening in Menasha? I'm proud of the work we've done together over the past 8 years, and I'm committed to keeping the momentum moving for another 4. We have a lot of exciting possibilities and interesting challenges in our immediate future, and I'm grateful for your past support and ask for your vote on February 16th. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming here tonight, and thanks to the League for hosting this event. I'm Chris Klein. A little bit about who I am. I've been in business. I've lived in Menasha for over 20 years. In the 1990s, I owned and sold a manufacturing company. And for the past 16 years, I've owned a successful real estate and insurance business. I have 2 kids and 2 beautiful grandkids. I've served as your alderman and have been on numerous city boards and committees. My business background offers valuable experience to take Menasha to the next level of success with quality living and lower taxes. Our city has and continues to endure controversies that could have been avoided. I will refocus our priorities and deliver the fundamental services our residents deserve, like quality street repairs, properly maintained parks, and responsible spending. We can't afford to continue this piecemeal, last-minute, reactive trial and error approach to solve our problems. After 8 years of neglect, I will work with the council and our staff for a comprehensive update of our city master plan. For downtown, My plan will address immediate needs like road repairs, lighting, traffic flow, and parking. We need to make our downtown as fresh and new as the new businesses that are coming in downtown, and make it easy to park so it's convenient for all of our residents and our visitors. To protect these investments, I will lead and create a downtown service district that organizes local experts, business leaders, and citizens who will help form a blueprint for our image and future development. We will explore internet access through Menasha utilities and federal funding that can provide residents and businesses with lower internet rates. After many years of neglect, I will move forward with our master plan to revitalize Jefferson Park. And for our most valuable waterfront, like the R. O'Donnelly and the Gilbert sites, I will make sure that we have an accountable, transparent development plan before we spend taxpayer money. Our taxes are the highest in the Fox Valley, and the rates have increased over the past 8 years despite paying down debt. That doesn't seem right. You know, what doesn't seem right is that but you guys are the ones that need the tax relief in this city. My plans are workable. They're realistic and responsive to the needs of all the residents. A vote for Chris Klein means a vote for solid business practices, not last-minute business as usual. Together we'll rise above the controversies and create a business-friendly, safe, and welcoming community that benefits everybody. Thank you all for coming here tonight. It's great to see this crowd. I appreciate it, and I ask for your support. Thank you.
That microphone, that needs to go farther down. Yeah.
Your microphone is causing ours to shoot.
Yeah, there, that's good.
Okay. Mr. Merkes, with increasing, now can you hear me well? Okay. With increasing traffic, especially with the tower development and the Racine Street Bridge project, what will be your plan to deal with not only that traffic, but also the road conditions in Menasha?
Getting people in and out of the city is a very important thing. Without a quality street system and quality traffic management, we don't have businesses in our community. That's why we spend well over $1 million every year to upgrade our streets. We are spending over $2 million this year on street construction and repair, and we also don't special assess people in the city of Menasha for those repairs. I think it's important that we continue doing that. And that we continue maintaining our roads in a responsible manner. But we have to balance that with the other needs of the city to make sure that that's not the only thing we do. As far as traffic and parking in the downtown, we have a parking study. We worked with the downtown businesses, with our planning department. And I need to keep this closer, it looks like, as people lean forward. And we have numbers that show the correct amount of parking that we need when the businesses are all full. That is why we bought the Germania Hall parking lot, to ensure that there was sufficient parking for all the businesses in our downtown when all the businesses were full. And we will have enough parking. It's a good problem to have people looking for parking spots, have people in our downtown, people wanting to be downtown. And I support making sure that they have those parking stalls and transportation systems available where needed.
Well, that's one of the comments that I made just in my opening statements is we do have a parking problem downtown, and we will have a traffic flow problem downtown. And one of my plans would be to convene a parking task force to address these issues directly. There currently are now businesses that downtown that their employees and their customers can't have access to their businesses because the enforcement isn't consistent, and the parking areas, especially on the back behind Broad Street or along Broad Street, are not enforced, and the parking area back there and that alley is blocked. So a lot of our current businesses don't have their customers can't get there. The other thing is we have businesses that are for sale downtown. Now, if if we're going to make sure that these businesses can get sold, we need to make sure that those people who are buying those can be assured that their customers are going to come here and be able to park by their businesses. So my plan would be to take action on this. And it'd have to happen quick, because in a few months we're going to have over 300 new people downtown. And we don't have a plan to get them out of that parking ramp and out of the downtown without clogging it up. And with Racine Street in 2020 supposedly being redone, it doesn't answer the questions of what's going to happen with Broad Street and the crossing there, and how we're going to get people going across there if we have a roundabout on that north end of the bridge. So we need a plan now. We can't wait, and part of my objective would have a parking task force immediately.
Chris Klein hit it right on the head when he said about our parking situation, and when he said about, in his opening statement, about bringing it to the table at the last minute. Here it is, make a decision, you got to do it now. I met with the developers when this new office building was going to be constructed. I met with them on site in the Broad Street parking lot, and we've had 2 studies that have told us how to handle and how to manage our property downtown. They kind of call it the service center area, with the post office, this building, the library, the public safety building next door, police and fire. That those are kind of your core city buildings that people come to a lot. And they have shown us that we have some blighted neighborhoods. We have some properties that are stressed and they need to be upgraded. Many of them are for sale, and on this block behind us right here, on the 400 block of First and the 400 block of Broad Street. And I wanted to go into that block, and we would have saved $2 million on the parking ramp. By going into that block, there was only $750,000 worth of acquisition for that property. Now we have a ramp that's blocking our businesses that are downtown. We need to have a different entrance into that ramp on the far east side, where the entrance is into the parking ramp. And I have a perfect solution for the Racine Street Bridge. We don't need to do that project. We were kind of misled that that wasn't on the table, but we don't need to do the Racine Street project. We cannot manage a structure like that. The state of Wisconsin will take care of it for another 40 years. It was designed as a 100-year bridge. And we should not take responsibility for that bridge.
Mr. Klein. Mr. Klein, we'll start. Menasha is approximately 45% rental units. As mayor, how will you hold landlords accountable for maintaining their property in compliance with city code? Should we put a moratorium on construction of new rental property?
Well, upgrading our housing stock is a bigger picture than just our rental properties. We have to make it a cultural change in this community, and we have to make it convenient for people who want to remodel their properties. You know, we do have a high amount of rental properties, but we also we have codes and ordinances that apply to all these properties that we need to also not only, make sure that we identify these properties, but that we enforce our codes. That we have a code enforcement officer. But what I think we do need is we need a city building inspector, somebody who can have take immediate action on certain properties. With relying on, like Habitat and companies, and businesses like that, I think are one-off opportunities. But we need to have a long-term, sustainable plan And we need to let the remodelers know that some of these older homes, that before 1983, the current building codes don't apply. So they can remodel their homes to a different standard than you would be than the Uniform Business Building Code that we have right now. So there's things that we can do. There's block grants. There's neighbor works that we can build into TIFs. There's some new programs out for vets. FHA has a 203K program for rehabbing properties. And the National Realtors Association is also coming out with working with HUD and FHA to help develop programs for vets and help them specifically for remodeling older homes. So we need to have some changes, and this needs to be systemic, and it needs to be cultural changes, and we need to take action on it. Waiting for flippers to come in, waiting for Habitat for Humanity to come in is not a plan.
Mr. Taylor?
2 years ago, my first 2 weeks back on the council, I brought an ordinance forward that all new construction has to have a 22 by 22 minimum size garage. The Habitat program is a great program, but these people will have a hard time ever building a garage or putting a hard surface in blacktop or concrete driveway. And I watched for years on building these homes without these amenities to it. I brought forth, and the council voted for it, that in Menasha you have to have a garage and a hard surface driveway for new construction. If you go up to the 100 block of Broad Street, there's a beautiful little home that was built this year with an attached garage, a concrete driveway, and it's a Habitat home. It fits the neighborhood and it looks absolutely wonderful. Secondly, Alderman Zielinski and I, for the last 2 years, have asked for a residential building inspector for our dated and somewhat distressed older housing. We really need to address this before we lose a neighborhood and have a problem. If you look at the police pin maps, where all their calls are, it's to a lot of the rental property, a lot of the dilapidated buildings that we continue to let fall to the side. And we have to have our fire codes, our health department, our code enforcement officer, and a residential building inspector working on this as a team in tandem that these projects are addressed. And I've taken the mayor and Director Kyle down to some of these neighborhoods, and we got one tore down last year. It took too long as I thought it did. And 12 years ago, I had this conversation with our community development director that we need to stop adding these apartment buildings.
Mr. Merkes?
Not so sure about this microphone either. The number one key is that all housing units in the city have to be good places to live. And until that happens, there's a problem here. So we've been working for the past 8 years and even longer to do things to help people improve those units and to take some of the units that were badly converted single-family houses into duplexes and convert them back to single-family houses. We have a revolving loan program that we saw a person actually on my block come in, started a family, completely rehabbed this house, and was able to do it because we were able to give him a small incentive to work on that home. We have a code enforcement officer. The code enforcement officer works on building image type issues, and he actually has even worked with some of the candidates up here to get their properties fixed. But the biggest thing is we need to have an image for our community that people want to live here. When we have young people that say, I want to start my family in Menasha because we have a great waterfront, we have a great park system, we have a great high school, that's how we're going to get people excited about moving in and rehabbing these houses and making sure that they're quality units. It can't just be a stick approach, it has to be both a carrot and a stick.
Mr. Taylor? Will be next.
Oh, I was going to say.
Currently, Menasha does not have any restrictions on sex offender placement. As a result, we are receiving a disproportionate amount of sex offenders in our community. Neighboring cities have tightened their restrictions, compounding this problem. What will you do as mayor to pass an ordinance restricting sex offender placement near schools, daycares, and parks in order to protect our community?
Many of those laws are already in effect through the state of Wisconsin, and also, I don't think we are disproportionate. You know, last time I checked, Appleton had almost 100, and I think Neenah had like near 50, and Menasha had 26 or 28 or something. And since we tore down a building downtown, I think a lot of that went away with that too. And our police department, I'm very confident in them. They do a great job. We have a young department, and they know where the problems are. And I met with the chief, and I look at his PIN maps, and we look at the areas that we need to address, and it always comes back to the very, very bottom of the low-income housing. And again, to retouch on that, that does have an effect on the people that show up here. And until we shore that up even better and take control of our housing, and that is in my top 3 as mayor, we have to ensure that our housing is safe, and we have to ensure that this housing has a look to it, some curb appeal to it, and we have to get our rental rates up a little bit, and that will happen with each neighborhood. 30 years ago, I bought my home on Broad Street. There was 7 rental properties at that time. Our home was a rental property at that time. We turned it into a single family. And the 300 block of Broad Street is just an outstanding block to live on right now. And we only have 1 rental at this time on our block, and the other ones have all returned to single family homes with a lot of pride, and it certainly shows.
Keeping our kids safe is one of our most important priorities from the city's point of view, from the school district's point of view, and from our police department's point of view. And I think it's important that we always look at how we can protect our kids. I know that the Nicolay School had policies when they knew there was a sex offender in the neighborhood that they dealt with making sure our kids were safe. Sex offenders can't live near schools already. They can't live near parks. And right now the state assembly, I believe, is working on a bill that will make the restrictions equal statewide. So we probably don't have an opportunity to change this at all. We're going to be dealing with a state law that will make this equal for all of us.
And I have to echo a lot of that as well. We do have state laws already on the books that do that, but if we can strengthen these laws to protect our children in this community, I will be one to do that. You can be assured of that. Law enforcement can only do so much. We have to be, as the leaders of this community, we have to take a stand. If we want to have a safe, secure community, we have to put some teeth into some of these things. If in fact we can do that, then I will. I know this bill is going through the assembly right now. I'm pretty sure that it'll be easily a bipartisan bill if it passes in the form that it's in, and we will have some of the opportunities in this community to use that. Whether we can change it, whether we can overstep what the state is going to do, time will tell. But protecting our kids is number one should be for any leader in this community.
Just stand in front, Peggy.
That would be easier.
It would. But then you don't have.
But I'm not running. I'm not a candidate. Okay, Mr. Merkes. How will the city of Menasha be impacted if and when water supplies are privatized?
Well, that's a very interesting question. The city of Menasha is served by 3 different water systems. We control one of the 3. The city of Menasha has a water plant on Manitowoc and Broad Street that we have about 50% excess capacity in. We don't have any fear of not having good high quality water. We upgraded that plant, I believe, in 2005 or 2006, and it serves us very well. We're looking forward to upgrading our intake as well, and I would believe that we're going to have high quality water for years to come. I don't see us selling our water plant. We would have to have a referendum, and the population of the city would have to look at selling that if that was going to happen. And I don't see why we would want to do that when we have great systems and great people providing that water at this time.
Well, I'm going to have to echo that as well. There's no indication that the city or there's any push to privatize water systems, public water systems at this point. You know, that really, it would have to be a referendum to privatize our water system, and that's a big issue, and it's probably, if I'm mayor, that's not going to happen in Menasha.
I was concerned with this about 10 years ago. We updated the water plant. We had a 100-year-old plant on our waterfront, and Appleton was in the process of building a new water plant, and within a large swath of our growth area, and I thought at that time it would have been an opportunity for us on a larger level to merge with Appleton on this project. Yes, Appleton did have problems with their project, and they've since are past that. But updating a 100-year-old plant in a residential area to me, wasn't the best idea. And I don't think we're going to have privatized water service anytime soon. And our water in 2008 was some of the best in the state of Wisconsin. So we're very proud of our water system here.
Mr. Klein, what is your definition of transparency in government, and how would you implement it?
Well, transparency starts with leadership, and I think that's something that I have a lot of experience with. As mayor, I want to be accessible, so I'll be having regular town hall meetings, so that you can come and we can have meetings right here. We can visit about any topics you want to talk about. I'll have regular roundtable meetings also with our local businesses, so that they can understand what's happening in this community. It means having a leader who is accessible, and not just I'm in my office. You have to be somebody as a leader who can inspire, who can raise people up, and be transparent and be honest. One thing you learn as a leader is you have to be honest and straightforward with people, because tell them the truth. Truth, how am I supposed to say that? Tell people the truth, they'll be able to decide whether that's good news or bad news. So I think that's the biggest part of transparency is telling people that be honest with them, have the integrity to stand up for what you believe in, and let people decide how they want to perceive it.
I've been council president for the last 10 months, and not once has the mayor invited me or called me about an issue with the city. We are kept in the dark. There's no transparency. It's not the type of government that I like. I've been in government as a council member since 1995, and we all go through different changes, but this government is by one person, and very seldom is there any input that's asked. And the corporation I work for, the 6 of them, through the mergers, you will fail every time when you try to do something by yourself and not invite ideas and not invite the public to participate in your team members. If we look at the current administration, we need to ask ourselves, is there transparency? If we look at this administration and there's not transparency, then what are we going to do about it? If the strengths and the talents of the people of our community are being overlooked and ignored, I will change that narrative. I promise you, I have the experience to do it. I will change that narrative, that we fill up rooms like this. We work with the team concepts that are out there, and together we will succeed. And by yourself, you will not succeed. I will change that narrative to a participatory government of the people. And I can't tell you how much the 30 years I've watched this type of management, it works. And the current model we have doesn't work.
Let's start out 11 years ago when I became alderman in the city of Menasha. Back then, the public didn't have access to anything that was happening. All you got was an agenda. All it said was what we might talk about. Our current mayor back then told us it wasn't possible to put this stuff online. I told him, BS. And I started scanning it and putting it on a Blogspot blog for everyone to see. I emailed out to the constituents of the 1st District every 2 weeks. We talked about things. We figured out what was going on. We discussed them, and then we brought them to the Common Council. Fast forward 3 years, I became mayor. We have probably one of the more transparent governments of all the communities around here. We put everything online. We changed our meeting schedules to allow 2 weeks between the time we first discuss things on TV, where most of the communities don't have their committee meetings on TV, for all of you to call me, to talk to me, to come to the meeting, or come to the second meeting and talk about what's going on. We want your opinion. Unfortunately, we never see a group like this come up to the Common Council. So we are very transparent. We're also working on a new website to make sure that all those things are up there and more, to make sure you have more information. I have an open door policy. I started out 8 years ago having open office hours. I found out that didn't work for any of you. I picked a time and date, and it was always the wrong time. So it works much better if I say, come on up. If I'm there, I'll talk to you. If I'm not, make an appointment when it's convenient for you and we'll talk. I'm always there to listen. And I've been working along with some of our other departments to make sure we have a great social media presence through the police department, through me, and through others so that we can all stay connected.
Did you start?
Did you start?
You started the slide.
Okay, I'm all confused.
I am too. Mr. Taylor, discuss your viewpoint on an annexation of the east side of the town of Menasha by the city of Menasha.
I really want to have a good relationship with our neighbors, with the town of Menasha, the city of Appleton, and the city of Neenah. Currently, we don't. The mayor has called the town of Menasha leeches in writing. That flyer has gone around quite a bit. We have our differences, but I know what we have right now is a difference in our tax structure. But if the town of Menasha and the city of Menasha could merge, we would become the 18th largest city in the country, in the state. We would become an entitlements city. The benefits are tremendous. If we sit and fight each other in court for the next 20, 30 years, we're all going to lose. We're all going to lose that. And a lot of money besides. The lawyers will benefit. The lawyers will benefit tremendously. But we need to work with our neighbors, and we have to get around the tax structure. And I feel that the way the town of Menasha people want to live, you would have to have a balanced council if we merge both communities together, and you would have to be sensitive enough to the town, what they have on the books and what we have on the books. Some people like curb and gutters, some people like to have more of a rural area, and we have to be sensitive to all that. But I think it can be done. We both share the last name, and we can change the first name, or if we got to change the name. Originally, this area was called Winnebago Heights, or Winnebago Rapids, and you know, that's a bold thing to say, is to change the name Menasha, but we need to work with our neighbors at every step of the way.
First off, we have a great relationship with the staff at the town of Menasha. We talk all the time, we work together. Some of the staff in the city of Menasha actually lives in the town of Menasha actually lives in the city of Menasha. We work with them great. Sometimes the elected officials don't get along as well as they should. I have hanging on my wall a plaque from the town, I have a plaque on my wall from the town of Menasha that says, "We can achieve great things together when we all agree on things," or something to that effect. And that was from when we entered into a border agreement in 1999. That agreement runs through 2018. We've abided by that agreement throughout that time, and we plan on abiding by it until it expires. And hopefully we can enter into a new agreement or extend that agreement to continue the good relationships that we have. Of course, we'd like to create a more regular boundary. It would help both of us provide services more efficiently and more cost-effectively. And we've spoke numerous times about that. We can't come to an agreement right now, but I'm confident that at some point we will. And as far as the comment that Mr. Taylor made about me not liking the town, the comment was, if you don't like our fireworks, maybe you should have your own fireworks. That was what my comment was, and yes, I did use a word that I probably shouldn't have used, but if you're going to complain about something another community has, then maybe you should get your own if you don't like what your neighboring community is doing. I think we work well together, and I plan on continuing to work well together and continuing to abide by the agreement that we have.
I had the opportunity about 2 years ago to knock on almost every door on the east side of town of Menasha and talk to those folks. And this conversation was one of them, is about what do you think about moving into the city of Menasha? Well, they weren't too positive about that. But what I wanted to talk to them about, and what I talked to other representatives about this, is what an economic force we could be. If we could have joined forces with those folks, if we could, on the east side, the economics of it, the size of it, would be the second largest community in the Fox Valley, one of the largest in the state. The economic force we would have at the state level would have been outstanding. But unfortunately, I think that ship has sailed, and I don't think they're happy about moving into the city as well. We do have a border agreement until 2018. What happens beyond that, they don't even know. I know that some of the representatives on the town board and the city, they have an aggressive stance at this point, and I think we missed a really good opportunity to bring those folks in on the east side. If we could some way find a financial approach to bringing the east side in, and talking to them about the shared services that we had, some of the things that were mentioned here, I think it would be a great opportunity for us, all of us, in the Fox Valley to have that happen.
We'll start with Mr. Merkes. Menasha is a landlocked community with limited opportunities for outward growth. What are your strategies for growing the tax base while providing the desired services and amenities that attract businesses and people to our community?
It's true that we have limited rooms for growth in greenfield areas, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, because sometimes greenfield growth costs more to maintain those properties than they bring in tax base, especially over the long run. They're great when you start out, but in the future, that may not be the best thing for your community. But we need to look at redevelopment opportunities, and we need to look at them in ways that attract the next generation to want to live here. People in the next generation are looking for urban environments, they're looking for waterfront environments, they're looking for recreational amenities, they're looking for density, they're looking for walkability. And we have those things in our downtown area, on the island, in the Clovis Grove neighborhood, in the downtown neighborhood. And those are our growth areas for the future. You start looking at these houses and sweat equity that can be put into them, and how exciting that can be for the next generation to be able to have a home at an affordable rate that's right next to a trail, that's right next to the water, that they can kayak, that they can walk down to a coffee shop. These are the things, this is how we have to market those areas and look at that as an opportunity rather than a detriment that we can't just keep growing out further and further and further.
Economic growth and economic development in a landlocked area means we have to build within. And the reason people and businesses, residents will move here is we need to reduce our taxes. I've been selling homes for 16 years, and the first thing people ask about is taxes. The second thing people ask about is schools. So if we want to change the narrative about this community, we have to reduce our taxes. We will get people interested in moving here because of the other things that are discussed. Every other community, it's very competitive out there. Every other community has the same things that we have. We need to be competitive as well, and that means we have to get our taxes down in this community. Redevelopment and new development, that's going to help our tax base. Building out new residential properties is really quite expensive for the infrastructure in a community. So we need to consider our high value corridors, our waterfront, our 441 corridor, to look for redevelopment areas out in those sections. The building out our commercial and industrial, that is really where we get a solid tax base being built out of that. So the things that I would be concerned with is reducing our taxes in this community will make it very, very competitive and very appealing, considering all the things that we can still do in this community.
I think of a late night meeting with closed session with the council back in 1998 when we were looking at, excuse me, when we were looking at setting our east boundary. At that time, the council decided, and the administration, that we should stop at Lake Park. Myself and another alderman that night thought we should go out to Highway N, and if we would have did that at that time, there wouldn't have been much resistance. Well, today, we can't go that far. You have Christ the Rock Church out there, and you have a huge community that's built behind that of residential homes. So we were short-sighted at that time, even though it was my vision to go out that far. Let's think big. Merging with the town of Menasha would have been a great way to expand east and west and north. And I still think we could put it on the table And depending upon what happened today down in Oshkosh with their village, new issues that they have, and trying to bring that form of, from a town to a village form of government to the table. And Menasha has a lot to offer with our waterfront, our access to the water, and also what we need to do is educate the public more on our tax structure. When a new street is put in front of someone's house, we don't charge for that. When a sidewalk is put in front of your house, we don't charge for that. Collectively, we all pay for that because we all use the streets and the sidewalks. Where in other communities, you may have a $8,000 or $10,000 bill when a street goes in. So if you figure out that bill for $8,000, $10,000 over the course of some years, their taxes are probably higher than our taxes. So we have to educate the public, I think, and our real estate people with that formula.
I forgot to warn you that was the last question. So these are the closing statements, and Mr. Klein will start.
Well, again, thank you all for being here. What a great crowd. This is a great opportunity to get a chance to ask a lot of great questions and meet your neighbors. And you know, the one thing that I've always thought about this community is how we rally around a cause. And it was really evident a few years ago when our football team, our Menasha High football team, went to state, and the whole year that stadium was packed. And I saw people out there that I never thought would go out in the cold, and they were there. And I'm telling you, that's the cool thing about seeing all these people here tonight, is that we rally around something, and we have a strong feeling about something in this community. Everybody shows up, and that's what makes a community, and that's really what makes me proud of this community. This is going to be one of the most important elections for Menasha since the steam plant fiasco 8 years ago. We can continue on a path of take it as it comes, or we can establish and implement a solid business plan for the city's future and economic growth. I hope you will consider my business experience as an asset to bring new opportunities. A better downtown, better parks, better roads, higher property values, and accountable and transparent business development. And most of all, we've got to work on reducing our taxes. It won't be an easy road, but it'll be a better road to benefit all the residents and local businesses. A vote for Chris Klein means a vote to the end of last-minute business as usual. It means the beginning of a business plan where citizens come first. Together, we'll put the public back into public service. Thank you all for being here tonight. I ask for your support. Vote Chris Klein on February 16th. Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, I'm next. See, I told you I'd never figure this out.
I know.
Again, I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters, the library, my fellow candidates, and all of you for being here tonight. We had some great questions. Menasha is back on the map. People are hearing the good news explode.